Tarps Off Sports.
All right, Frank Bonada here for Tarps Off Sports MMA, and joining me today is Sam Creasey, who is coming off a emphatic victory over Aaron Aby in what was the semi-final of the Cage Warriors Flyweight Tournament. How's it going, man? Now that you've had a few days to sort of digest that victory.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Had a few days to enjoy some food, enjoy some family time, and I'm ready to get back on the horse again.
100%. Now, first, we'll talk about the upcoming final soon. But one of the things that really struck me in the fight with Aby in the first place, you sort of go out there with a traditional martial arts stance, something similar to it, karate, taekwondo, something like that. And you got the samurai, you got the whole look, but then you go out there and fight like a Dagestani wrestler almost, with the slams and the throws. Was that sort of the game plan going into it in the first place, like to really assert your dominance through the wrestling exchanges?
Not really, to be quite honest. I really try not to have a game plan for any fight that I'm going into. I like to consider myself well-rounded and able to, deal with the fight wherever it takes place. I have a very traditional kind of point style movement, I guess, on the feet, and that gives maybe the sense that I'm gonna keep it striking most of the time. And to be honest, I've had to sort of learn that through the fights that I've had over the years, because my biggest instinct initially when I started the sport was pretty much to just bite down on my gum shield and go to war, which obviously at some stage is not going to be a very good idea. So I do like to keep it on the feet, nice and long. But I felt kind of in the exchanges, as soon as we were clinched, I kind of felt like I had his number there. And I was able to assert my dominance more clearly in that range, in the second and the third round. So I ended up just sticking to what was working, really.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't broke something that's fixed? And then what the sort of commentators picked up on, and I noticed as well, was in those second and the third round especially, you looked as fresh as you did in the first. How was your stamina going to that fight? Did you feel like you could easily go the full 5 rounds?
I haven't had the fight, but I think I definitely could have gone 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Mind games of your own often take place like throughout camp, and then almost in the warm-ups to the fight, and that most of the time I feel like, oh God, I'm going to gas out here.
Yeah.
Realistically, you've already done the work. It's just controlling those emotions. I can do 5 5s, I could do 10 5s if I can control my emotions and control, all of those feelings throughout the fight. So, although it was a 3-round fight, my output wasn't too crazy, to be honest. I was picking a lot of my shots, utilizing control and that, because I know Aaron's dangerous as well, and if I give him a second, maybe he'd turn the tables on me on the ground. So a lot of it is just picking my shots, taking my time, and making sure that I'm dominating the whole round and not giving it any space to breathe.
I mean, well, one fight that you might well have to end up doing 5 rounds in is what comes up next. Because of course, it was the semi-finals, and then we now have your next opponent, which is Luke Shanks, who he came over Nicholas LeBlond, also on the trilogy. I imagine you had one eye on that fight, and if so, what do you think of Shanks's performance?
Luke looked really good. I mean, I've trained with Luke in the past. I know he's tough. I know he's got a well-rounded game in there, and I've watched him improve over the years. Even more so now as he's moved up to James Doolan's place up in Scotland, and that you can see he's a professional. He got caught and dropped, but to be honest, it looked like a flash knockdown, and he came on probably twice as strong from that moment forth. He looked very good on the feet, a lot of pressure going forward. Lovely, lovely jab, and the low kicks were fantastic, especially in the first round. You know, he's going to be a tough fight, and you know, it's going to be fun.
100%. How do you think your actual skill set, your specific skill set, matches up with his?
I wouldn't look at it directly against Luke. I think my skill set matches up against anybody in the world at my weight very well in my case. I'm well rounded. I don't really see an area where I have massive weaknesses, and I don't have an area of the fight where I would like the fight to play out. You know, wherever it's going to be, I'll be quite comfortable. I do believe on my day I'm the best 125er in the world, and you know, that's upon me to go out there and prove it time and again.
Do you have aspirations at all of, you know, you say you're the best 125er in the world, of ever competing outside of Cage Warriors? Should you get the belt, you know, the UFC's always there, Bellator's always there. Have you ever thought about a career outside of Cage Warriors?
Yeah, of course. I've had offers elsewhere before. I mean, the Cage Warriors gives me the path that will take me to the UFC if I perform, right? The UFC has the best flyweights in the world. That's where I want to be to prove myself. Okay, I want those fights. I'll fight everywhere and anywhere, but right now, I want to fight the best guys in the world.
100%. This fight with Aby might well have been your last in an empty arena. You know, I'm sure Graham Boylan, the guys at behind the scenes at Cage Warriors, want to put you and Shanks in front of as many fans as they can get. When you look back at, I believe that was your second fight in front of an empty arena, or third even. Sorry. You know, what was that like? Yeah, and are you looking forward to getting fans behind you again, or did you enjoy the silence?
I'm pretty much split, to be quite honest. I enjoy the crowd. I enjoy the kind of the adrenaline that brings. I enjoy hearing the roar of the crowd when things are going a little bit crazy and there's panic everywhere. You know, that's part and parcel of what fighting is to me and what I know. But I did really enjoy fighting in an empty arena and really hearing those shots land. And it seems almost more dramatic. Every shot that I land, I can hear the thud, I can see the reaction, and there's no crowd noise behind that. There's just that fighter there who you've struck, and now you can see if that shot has been effective and how much he's willing to carry on.
Exactly, yeah. There's something that's almost like primal about it, like old school martial arts.
Very much so.
Just to switch back over to the UFC for a second, we recently had a new flyweight champion over there, Brandon Moreno, submitting Davison Figueiredo. Was that a fight you watched? And if so, what do you think the performance is, and what do you take away from those performances more so?
Yeah, I caught the fight in that. I thought the first fight was very, very close. I think Davison is leaving these cuts so late, man, and he's a big flyweight, but if he dieted a little bit more beforehand, I think he'd still have just as much of an advantage with his size and his power coming in without negatively affecting his performance like it seems to have done a few times now. The flyweight division there, I think, is pretty much open, to be quite honest. That belt's probably going to change hands a few times in the next 12 months, 2 years or so. And, you know, I think that division is asking for some new blood as well.
Speaking of new blood, the former Cage Warriors champion, Jake Hadley, he's on his way over there. Dana White Contender Series fight. Do you think he's you know, could be one of those new blood fighters who makes his way into the UFC and you know, goes up the rankings a bit?
Yeah, of course. I think, you know, I've trained with Jake quite a lot, and that we get on very well. We spar a lot when we've got fights coming up and that, and you know, we're at a good level. He's to be honest, I don't know if he deserved contenders. I really feel like if they had a UK show before then, he would have been in, and they'd have got a Birmingham show or something and had Rocky on it, and that kind of would have made more sense to me. But he'll beat this guy, and then he'll get his foot in the door, and I expect him to start. Well, if he doesn't start knocking them out straight away, he's going to talk enough to wind them all up.
100%. Part of the reason why I mentioned Jake, the two of you have both sort of not, I wouldn't call it a rivalry or anything like that, but you've both had a little bit of a back and forth with Mohamed Mukayev, the Brave CF flyweight, big prospect. Everyone's talking about his amateur record and whatnot. Just talk to us a bit about, I know you didn't have a proper heated exchange, so to speak, on social media, but there was a bit of a, he was disrespecting the Cage Warriors flyweight tournament. You gave a bit back. What are your thoughts on that whole just situation?
To be honest, it's just talk, isn't it? It's just talk. It's just words. I don't particularly have a problem with anybody at flyweight per se. I'm going to fight just whoever's in front of me. I have no time for the talk too much. I know Jake and Mo have their problems and that, and that'd be a great fight if it happens down the road. But me personally, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant actually, because we're not going to be fighting anytime soon because we're all signed to different promotions. So, it is what it is, and I wish Mo the best of success, and maybe we'll fight one day down the line.
It is what it is. Purely theoretically, this is just bouncing off that. Into fight tournaments or competitions, into promotion, say, could you ever imagine Cage Warriors doing something like that? A flyweight tournament or any sort of tournament with a company like Brave CF? Do you think that's like a realistic proposition? Because people always talk about it, but we rarely see it come to fruition.
I mean, the idea is great. Yeah, it looks fantastic on paper. I guarantee you could sign a lot of people up to that. But realistically, I just don't see it happening. Promotions have got to look after their talent, okay, keep hold of their fighters and that, and they all want to show that they're the best promotion.
Yeah, of course. And now just one last question. I know you've sort of spoken to, I think it was with Cage Warriors actually, just speaking about the sort of mental health benefits, especially during COVID areas, of getting outside and doing something physical. And it's clear you practice what you preach. You just need to look at your Instagram, and it's every day hitting the heavy bag outside. So yeah, how important do you think it is that people sort of follow this advice of getting outside, doing something? Like I say, especially during these COVID times.
It really made a massive difference to me, but it also, I've watched a lot of the people around me, close friends, coaches, etc., fall into a dark hole almost, simply from not being able to do the thing they love, and I've had to drag those guys back into the gym. I've had to drag them out and make them just get them doing something, because it's so good for them. And once they're back in there, in that environment and they get that feeling back, it changes everything, the whole outlook. And it's really all about just having a positive mindset and finding that ability to look for that positive in the worst of the worst.
100%. Well, I think that's a great note to end this interview on. Thank you so much for coming on, Sam. I really appreciate your time. And I'll give you the last word if there's any sort of shout outs, or if you want to let people know where to find you on social media and all that.
Yeah, you can hit me up all my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on them occasionally. And then just a big shout out to my sponsors and that, teammates, sparring mates, everybody who supports me, I appreciate and I love. Okay.
Awesome. Well, best of luck in the upcoming fight. I know it's still a way away, but it's coming. And yeah, once again, thank you for coming on.